okay? Level's good. Perfect. No, I'm excited. This is It's just for me.
Okay.
Hey, Brad. Thanks for coming down to the home studio, Jim.
Anytime. Exciting.
So,
I like what you've done.
Chef Brad from Cookies and Carnitas, which I want to talk about because I didn't understand the name when I first reacquainted with you at the Green City Market, which I think is coming back next month or something. I know my wife told me about it. So just to catch up to speed, we worked together at a restaurant at the Fairmont Hotel back in, I think, 2000 something five. Yeah, because I remember you were at Trotter's before that. Is that where were you at Trotter's immediately before that?
Yeah, I was at Trotter's pretty
and then
early before that.
You probably were recruited or probably.
I was at Know Me at the Park Hyatt before. I was like a sous chef training, and they got fired on my 90-day review.
Because did they not know the future of strong, loud chefs as they do now?
I wasn't a strong, loud chef. I was a strong, loud cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's different.
But I think that maybe it didn't work there.
You got to be passive towards the chef and have respect for their authority and space and so on.
I said, that was early 2000s, because
I had just come from many years of these small, intense kitchens.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm out in the wild with some experience, and people were interested and wanted to employ me and pay me more and give me more responsibility.
Which is helpful.
But I was a fucking psychopath, and I was very aggressive and worked at these places that bred aggression, and that's.
Well, was that the thing back then? I mean, now everybody sees TV and they expect the chefs to be. I don't know if they still do. If that's even a thing, now you would just probably get sued or harassed. Was that a thing back then? Because my only view of restaurant was that restaurant that we worked at when you guys were in the back of the house with all those chefs. I didn't know that's how a kitchen was run. I had worked. My first job was I was a busboy, and the Italians that owned it were really loud and assholes. But that was I didn't know how restaurants were supposed to be. I thought it was supposed to be nice, fine dining. But it gave it personality. That's what I felt was cool about that restaurant. Back in the day, you guys were loud. You guys were. I don't know. I think you guys were respectful with each other too. I think, in a sense, there was always shit going on, I'm sure, but it just seemed like to me that restaurant, it was kind of a rock star environment in the back, and then in the front of the house, they just hired good-looking people. I think just to be servers at first, if I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
if you go all the way back in history, the kitchens and galleys, they were called, it was military. It was a brigade system. You had your runts all the way up to your 4-star generals, and restaurants that weren't ethnic, restaurants that weren't just grandma's cooking, that had a couple dishes, that provided full services, were usually hotels or some sort of inn.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who ran those came from the military generally.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
we're talking, 100 plus years ago.
Well, yeah, if you think about restaurants, it is kind of a mass hall military type feeding. You just have the lines next food. But, I mean, food obviously has changed. I don't know much about fine dining. My restaurant experience is, limited to what we used to work at back in the day. And I learned more about food. Even then, I was still kind of in the bodybuilding diet because I've always been into fitness. Ever since I was in school, I was in school at the time. I think I forget, undergrad, grad school, I forget. Back then, and I was always into fitness. I was always into lifting, bodybuilding. So, me, it was just meat and potatoes in a sense, and that's all I really ate there. You guys kind of turned me on to really how to cook meat. You guys schooled me one time. I didn't know how I wanted my steak. Forget who it was. He was like, no one ever taught you, did they? I'm like, no. I mean, my mom, she cooked regular food, but I never had a good quality steak. until
No.
there. I never had good meats because I only ate meat. I didn't really eat a lot of sauces. I wasn't like you guys. You guys would taste stuff that I never even heard of. So I was just purely meat, but it was good meat. You guys made me good dishes. Made me like lobster and duck and all this stuff that I got to try finally for the first time. And it was just incredible meats and tastes. So that's where I kind of learned more about food and wine. I don't have that taste, but
the good life is one of the easier lessons to learn. Nice shit
yeah.
is easy to learn about, you know? You eat crappy your whole life, and then somebody finally makes you some mac and cheese
no real
appropriately, and you're like, shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
And then it just gets crazier from there.
But when you started, has anything changed as far as...
The whole world has changed.
Yeah, well...
It's like it would be impossible.
I do want to talk about that because you were in the middle of shit too in the past few years as far as your business too.
I'm still in the middle of shit.
So still feeling. I guess it's true. We're just coming off.
We're not coming off.
You're not seeing it.
No, you say coming off. The pandemic. People aren't wearing masks anymore. They're feeling more comfortable around people. But there's been a shift, and people are still the way we think about things has changed, and sanitation and food and dining and spending money and so on has all completely changed. So yes, the world in many ways is going back to what we would think of some sort of normalcy, but small businesses are thicker in the shit now than when they were giving them, the government was giving handouts and, paying the banks to give us money.
So that's because I've talked to a lot of gym owners. That's, I mean,
gym owners got fucked.
Yeah. Obviously that's my background. I ran health clubs before. That was more my background.
80% of your perspiration comes from your body, but they're like, cover your face at a gym. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about, I know the whole science. I was livid when I found out about this, but I understand I'm talking more about the business side. You guys had to do whatever you had to. And I understood my friends who own, some gyms in the suburbs, cities, that had to deal with it on the business side. So did that make you evolve the restaurant differently? How does that work in restaurants? Having to evolve restaurants, now the core business, or now it's more behind the scenes, sanitation, health standards.
When you get knocked down, you have to get back up and pay
you have
attention.
to survive.
You have to be willing. You have to have survivor mentality. That's it. There's no excuses. I could tell you that the pandemic killed us, or it did this or that. I could tell you that, or I could be like, oh shit, the world's always going to change. There's always going to be some new. Now there's a war, right? And the stock market's been fucking flying for 2 years. So that means there's crashing next. It's a constant battle.
How do you see that reflected in your business?
It's reflective that the business has to battle. The business has to transition and be agile and has to be flexible. And the business has to learn and grow, or else it just dies. And
how are you doing that? What are
some
of the new tactics, strategies that, okay, now this is how it's going to be for now?
Well, I could tell you that we always struggled from the beginning. I've been working for myself for 12 years, and we always struggled.
You started in 2011, this restaurant? Was that
we started at the Green City Market.
Okay.
And then it transitioned to like a little bakery, so to speak. And then we turned that little kitchen into a restaurant. And then now we have the restaurant and the bar and the coffee shop and all that
Which
shit.
Is a great location there on Broadway in Edgetown. I mean, you guys have a great bar when you walk in. You guys have the seating. You have the cafe.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's a cool place. It's a cool space. The food is good because we care.
Well, that's why I noticed, because I was going through your Instagram and just looking at every time when you post, it's always something different. But now I didn't understand the name Cookies and Carnitas at first. That's my Spanish.
I like that, Cookies and Carnitas.
Carnitas.
Yeah, have to give it
and I'm like, Cookies and Carnitas.
Well, are we both Jew boys?
Yeah.
Talking about a Mexican restaurant. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that.
Do you consider it Mexican?
I mean, is it?
I don't think so.
No.
And I don't know, I don't like talking about concepts because that seems weird because your restaurant it's almost from A through Z. I got I couldn't understand the name first. Cookies and Carnitas. I thought that was just how you called it at the market. Okay, we have cookies, and then we do breakfast Carnitas, breakfast burritos.
No.
But then I saw your restaurant is completely...
Whatever we get our hands on, we
right.
make. We don't fuck around.
It's almost like A through Z but it's really meaty, really American vegetables, fresh meats. I see all the meats that you're trying.
We try to use everything we could get our hands on. We try to go to like the Whole Foods and be like, oh shit, I haven't used red lentils in a while. And we call our purveyor. We order some red lentils. And we, oh shit, we'll call our purveyor and order every color of lentils. You know, every size and shape.
And I see it. I'm like, okay, this is food that I would eat because like I said, I'm purely a meat, veggies, fruits kind of person.
What's your obsession with the meat? Why? Because I want to disagree with you.
About meats?
Yeah, man. I want to tell you that we should eat very nominal animal fats and meats. Very nominal. Maybe.
Okay, we can talk about that.
Maybe in the couple ounces a week at a very high quality. And if that, maybe the liver or the heart or the tripe or something.
Okay,
like that.
Let's talk I wanted to ask you about this too, about where does animal organ meats... How does that play a role in restaurants? Is that something that the American palate can handle?
No, American palate is the worst in the entire world, period. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah. No, you can pull that a little bit closer down below your chin, just, there you go. No, you're fine.
The American diet is the absolute positive worst. We are meat and potatoes and meat and want our strawberries when we want our strawberries and we want our asparagus all year long, and we want to eat the center of the animal and throw the rest in the garbage. And we have no diversity, and we have zero diversity. We have people eat lamb, they eat red meats, they eat pork, chicken, duck, and as far as the meat is concerned,
quality, but the good parts of meat
is tremendously low. Like your average mid-range $50 per person restaurant is literally hardly serving you above jail food. So they're serving you jail food with protein, with.
So they're just selling you whatever they can get their hands on and get rid of out the door fastest.
They're selling what's in the front of their faces, what's obvious: boxes of homologated chickens and pre-processed cut Cryovac 28-day wet aged corn-fed and finished beef. They're feeding you stocks and bouillons and dried, crappy everything. It's shit.
So,
and I eat it. I like it, but it's still shit.
Oh, I mean, the meats I get
dairy,
are just pure.
The amount of dairy that Americans eat is horrifying. And when you look at people look like chickens. They look like a chicken. They're heavy in the shoulders, heavy in the chest, little scrawny legs. People literally look like what they're eating.
And we know that it's our diet and the way American diet has just turned our numbers, because I told you I teach here. I'm a professor of exercise science, so I try to get this across to all my students every year. I just try to ram it down their throats that everything, as far as the numbers, all of our obesity numbers and just our sickness numbers are growing and growing. It has nothing to do with going now.
I think that has to do with laziness and social media and
our lack of exercise is by far.
I think depression too, and over medication, and there's a lot of psychology involved. You could eat a lot of bullshit. I mean, we're humans. We're omnivores. We could literally hardly eat anything. People say that, oh, you need this many calories, you need that many calories. Well, if you suck those calories away for months and months at a time, your body will readjust and you'll need less calories.
Right. I mean, don't necessarily. It depends on how you work out.
Performance and be choking choking big guys to death, but you will survive.
Yeah. I mean, it's not calorie counting. We're just eating. I think the research shows that we're eating too much now. People are dying of eating too much. They're overeating. Before, there's parts of the country undereating. Now we're eating too much. When you go to Whole Foods, what percentage of Whole Foods is organic? And I know you and I have had this conversation. What percentage of Whole Foods is organic? Well, what is the term that they consider organic that they buy? You have to certify.
Right.
that you're organic.
Well,
Now, what does that
state,
cost?
Each state has its own definition.
Right, exactly.
And that doesn't mean that there's no pesticides or antibiotics or steroids or stuff in your food. It just means there's the right
What's
amount.
the minimum quality that the government allows that you can call it organic or grass-fed? I don't know those particular numbers because I don't, follow that.
What percentage of Whole Foods is organic?
You mean from the labeled?
It doesn't matter. Just it says fucking.
It says organic.
Yeah. What percentage?
I'm going to say 80% is organic.
2%.
2%. See, that's how.
And each organic item is displayed at least 5 times. The same item, the same organic orange, the same. You know when you go to the Green City Market, why you see all these crazy melons, but you never see them at the grocery store?
Probably don't last.
Because they can't get exactly
Freshness.
right. It's a commodities logistics business, and that's the only business. And then everything else is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're marketed garbage, and we're given exactly what we want, and we vote with our dollar bills, and we bring those dollar bills and buy all the shit that we're not supposed to be eating and drinking.
But how? That doesn't seem to be. The only thing that it's affecting then is just how many calories we eat and how much we're over. It doesn't. It's not making us ill. The overeating is making us ill.
Yeah,
chronic
over
metabolic diseases, obesity, all the other.
Listen, they had names for it in the turn of the century. In 1920, you could go to a doctor's office and they'd be like, "Oh, overconsumption. You're fat and drunk, and you're gonna fucking die because of it." So stop eating so much and stop drinking so much and sleep better, and you'll be fucking fine. Right? Nowadays, everything needs to be separated because that's how you divide and conquer. Right? That's why when it's not gay and straight, it's gay and straight and LBGT, because they're trying to sell the same lipstick to 19 different people, put a different label on it. So as far as health is concerned, like they divide your blood from your blood pressure, from your vascular system, from like how you intake oxygen to how fat you are. They divide it all up and have a different pill for each and every fucking ailment.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the problem with that I see, and I continue to see that I'm trying to get through to gym owners, anybody who exercises, like, what is it? There's something that's causing this. Why is it the same percentage, same demographics of the U.S. population are joining gyms?
Psychology, man.
Well, it's demographic. It's race, age, education.
Marketing.
And just our backgrounds in
nowadays
exercise and eating, definitely education. How much
nowadays they could when I say they, big companies, huge major corporations, Kmart and Target and Amazon, they know what plays on you emotionally, and they could tell by your education, and they could tell by your financial whatever, and they know what to market. So they'll market gyms to this demographic, and they'll market steroids to this demographic, and ADHD medication.
Wow.
And they're tapping in by 2%, which doesn't sound like a big deal until you see that they're targeting people in the tens and hundreds of millions.
Then why can't we, and I say we, persons who are in a certain field, an industry that wants to promote more of it and try to get more people in the gyms. Why can't we
doesn't fucking sell.
See, that's the problem. I don't
tell
care.
people that they need to be give a pill for discipline. As soon as they can market that on TV, that will be like the next Oxycontin.
Well,
take this pill, you'll be more disciplined. Okay, fuck.
It probably already is one, but I don't think that's going to be that's healthy because there's no pill. We know this research. There's no pill man-made by any pharmaceutical company that can make you as fit as diet and exercise. It's 5 to 6 times fold diet and exercise. There's no pill that can get you there.
Diet and exercise is the pill.
Oh, well, then you're talking diet metaphorically as a pill.
I'm not talking metaphorically. A pill.
You're talking about a magic pill. There's no magic pill.
Into your blood.
Yeah, I mean, you just
all medication that's prescribed, and I hate the word prescribed. You're sold on. Is blood based. Well, that's diet and exercise. Let's fucking fix the blood. So instead of diluting your cholesterol medication and some cream-based coffee and sucking it down. The very first thing you eat in the morning is a cholesterol fucking pill and like a piece of fake toast with some fake jelly and some fake fucking peanut butter on it because that's what you're supposed to eat. And you eat some pill that's way more powerful than you ever imagined. Like only 1/100% of the actual pills, the medication, it's so fucking strong.
Sure.
And instead of doing that, why don't you just like deny your system things that make cholesterol, deny your system the things that give you inflammation, and prescribe what you need. Oh, you have vibrations in your legs and your arms. Well, you need B12 and you need this and you need this vitamin.
Restless leg syndrome, yeah.
Yeah.
So then now you're going back to how certain meats can help that because our bodies do need that naturally.
Fermented, anything digested.
Well,
has
this
B12.
is interesting.
The B12 is the meat eater's argument that just fails miserably.
Sorry, let me...